This session is for the person who is hardest on themselves, for the voice that waits until everything is quiet and then starts. Please note, this session is for rest and relaxation only. Never listen while driving or doing anything that needs your full attention. It is not a replacement for professional support. If this helps, there are more sessions on this channel. Subscribing means you'll always have somewhere to return to. Now, lie down, close your eyes, and let this begin. You know the one, the voice that stays quiet while the day is busy, while there are people around, while there are things to do and places to be and tasks to complete. It waits patiently for the moment everything goes still, and then it begins. Did you do enough today? Did you say the right thing? Were you too much or not enough? Did that come across wrong? Should you have handled that differently? Why did you react that way? You should have known better. You always do this. Sound familiar? That voice is not the truth. It feels like the truth. At midnight, in the dark, when you're tired, and there's nothing to distract from it. It can feel like the most honest thing in the room, but it isn't. It's just a voice, a very old voice, one that learned a long time ago that if it pointed out everything wrong, everything imperfect, everything that could have been better, it might be able to keep you safe, keep you prepared, keep you from being caught off guard. It was trying to help in its own way. It still thinks it is, but it isn't helping tonight. Tonight it's just keeping you awake, running through a list of things that cannot be changed or fixed or improved upon. Right now, in the dark, at this hour. So tonight, we're not going to argue with it. We're not going to try to silence it or prove it wrong or tell it to stop. That never works. You've probably already noticed that. The harder you push against it, the louder it gets, the more certain it becomes, the more evidence it finds to support everything it's saying. Instead, tonight, we're going to do something different. We're going to simply let it be there without giving it the floor, like a television left on in another room. You can hear it, but you don't have to watch it. You don't have to follow the program. You don't have to believe everything it's saying. It can continue, and you can be here, separate from it, not fighting it, not feeding it, just here. And from here, something becomes clear that the voice never tells you. You got through today, all of it, the hard parts, the awkward parts, the parts where you weren't sure you would. You got through them. You managed the way you always manage, even when it didn't feel like managing, even when it felt like barely holding on. Even then, you held on, and that matters more than the voice will ever acknowledge, more than the mistakes it's cataloging, more than the list it's building of everything that fell short. You showed up today. That's not nothing. That's everything. And now, the showing up is over, and the only thing left is this, lying here in the dark with nothing left to prove to anyone, including yourself. So let your body begin to settle now, your shoulders dropping, your jaw releasing, your hands open, your chest rising and falling quietly, without effort. There is nothing to prepare for, nothing approaching, nothing that needs you ready. Just this room, this dark, this breath, and a voice that is already growing quieter, not because you silenced it, but because you stopped giving it your full attention. And in the quiet that follows, something softer is there, something that doesn't make lists or keep score or measure your worth by your productivity. Something that has been here all along, underneath the noise, patient, steady, unchanging. That's where we're going tonight. Down through the noise, past the voice, past the list, past the version of you that the day required, and into the quieter, truer, softer place beneath all of it, where you can simply rest without condition, without judgment, without the voice having any say at all. Something is already different. You may not be able to name it exactly, but something has shifted. The voice is still there, perhaps, somewhere in the background, but it's further away now, less convincing, less able to hold your full attention, because your attention is here, in this room, in this body, in this breath, and that's where it stays for the rest of tonight. If sessions like this one help you, consider subscribing. There are more here, waiting for the nights when the voice is loud and the sleep won't come. They'll always be here whenever you need them. Now, let's go a little deeper. Your body has been doing something quietly while your mind has been occupied. It's been releasing slowly, without announcement, without drama, just gradually letting go of the shape of the day, the physical holding that accompanies a mind that never fully switches off. And we're going to help it finish that process now, completely, starting at the top and moving slowly downward until every part of you has been given permission to stop. So, begin with your scalp. You probably don't think about your scalp very often, but there's tension there, a tightness, a subtle gripping that comes from a day of concentration, of focus, of trying to hold everything together. Let it soften now. Let the muscles across the top of your head release, your scalp relaxing, becoming looser, softer, your forehead. This is where the inner critic leaves its mark. The slight furrow, the almost invisible tension between your brows that deepens every time the voice says something you don't want to hear. Let it smooth now, completely, not by forcing it, just by noticing it and allowing it to release. Your eyebrows dropping, your eyes heavy behind closed lids, completely still. No effort needed, just resting. The muscles around your eyes, soft, released, no longer holding any expression, no longer reacting to anything. Your cheeks, loose, your jaw. This is where so much is stored. Not just physical tension, but the weight of everything unsaid, everything held back, everything you chose not to react to during the day that your jaw absorbed instead. Let it drop now, just slightly, just enough to create a small space between your teeth. Feel the difference, the release across your whole face when the jaw finally, fully lets go. Your tongue resting softly, not pressed anywhere. Your lips soft, your throat open, relaxed. No words needed, no sounds required, no explanations to prepare. Just quiet. Your neck long, soft. The muscles either side releasing their grip. Your head completely supported, no longer needing to be held up or directed anywhere. Just resting, heavy, still. And your shoulders. We come back to these because this is where the inner critic does some of its heaviest work. Every sharp thought, every moment of self-doubt, every time the voice said, "You should have done better," your shoulders absorbed it, tightened around it, held it without you even knowing. Let them drop now, further than feels natural. There is always more to release here. always a final layer that waits until you really invite it. So invite it now. Let them fall completely heavy down, away from your ears, away from everything they've been holding. Feel the space that opens across your upper back, across your chest, when the shoulders finally fully surrender. Your upper arms, heavy now. Your elbows, soft. Your forearms, sinking. Your wrists, loose. Your hands, open. Fingers uncurled. Nothing held. Nothing gripped. Nothing waiting to be picked up. These hands have worked today. They've done their part. They can be completely still now, completely empty, completely at rest. Your chest rising and falling without your guidance. The breath finding its own pace, slower than before, quieter than before, without you doing anything to make it so. Notice that. Your breath is already changing, already slowing, your body already moving in the direction of rest, without being asked, without being told, just doing what it does. When it's finally allowed to stop, your upper back releasing, the muscles either side of your spine softening, letting go of the bracing that a day of mental effort always leaves behind. Your middle back heavy, your lower back sinking, completely supported. Nothing to hold up, nothing to brace against, just resting fully into the surface beneath you. Your stomach, soft now, unclenched. So much tension lives here, in a mind that is always slightly on alert. A low-level tightening, a subtle readiness that becomes so familiar, you forget it's there, until a moment like this, when it finally lets go and you feel the difference, the softness that replaces it, the ease, the simple, uncomplicated relief of a body that has stopped bracing. Your hips wide, open, heavy. Your pelvis sinking, completely supported. No tension remaining. Your thighs, the full weight of them pressing down, resting completely. Your knees, soft, falling slightly outward. Your calves, loose, no tension running through them. Your ankles, relaxed, your feet still, completely still, the weight of them resting, toes soft, uncurled, nothing to push against, nowhere left to go. Your whole body now, from the crown of your head to the soles of your feet, completely released, completely supported, completely still. There's not a single part of you that is holding anything, not a single muscle bracing for something that isn't coming, not a single place carrying the weight of what the voice has been saying. Your body has set it all down completely, without ceremony, without drama, just quietly, the way bodies do when they are finally, truly allowed to rest. And your breath continuing, slow, steady, easy, without effort, without thought, just happening the way everything is happening now, on its own, without you. And your mind, still perhaps, moving somewhere above you, but differently, more loosely, less driven, less certain. The voice, if it's still there, is quieter now, softer, less convincing, because the body is no longer feeding it, because the tension is gone. And without the tension, there is less for the voice to hold on to, less for it to point to, less evidence for everything it's been saying. And in its place, something quieter, something that doesn't speak in words, just a warmth, a stillness, a sense of being exactly where you're supposed to be, doing exactly what you're supposed to be doing, which is nothing, which is resting, which is allowing the night to do what the night does. When you finally stop fighting it and let it hold you completely, without condition, without the voice having any say in any of it. Just rest now. Just wait. Just stillness. Just the quiet of a body that has finally completely let go. Notice where you are right now. Not physically. You know where you are physically. But notice the state of things. Notice how different this feels from where you were when you first lay down. The tightness that was sitting in your chest, the low hum of self-examination, the list the voice was building, all of it, quieter now, further away, less able to reach you, down here, where you are now. And that's worth noticing, because the voice would have you believe that it's always right, always relevant, always worth listening to. But look at what happened. Without arguing with it, without proving it wrong, without doing anything except shifting your attention to your body, to your breath, to the simple physical fact of lying here, it lost its grip. Not because you defeated it, not because you found the perfect counter-argument, not because you finally figured out how to silence it, but simply because you stopped giving it your full attention. And that's the thing about that voice. It needs your participation. It needs you engaged. It needs you picking up everything it throws, turning it over, taking it seriously, responding to it. Without that, it has nothing. It's like a fire that needs oxygen to burn. Remove the oxygen, and it doesn't matter how much fuel there is, the fire goes out. Your attention is the oxygen. And tonight, you're breathing somewhere else entirely. You're breathing here, in this body, in this quiet room, in this dark, where the voice simply does not have the same power it has in the daylight. Because here's something true about the inner critic that it never admits. It is loudest when you are most tired, when your defenses are lowest, when you have the least capacity to push back against it. It chooses its moments carefully, not because it's cruel, but because it mistakes exhaustion for honesty. It thinks that the rawness of late night is clarity. It thinks that the vulnerability of almost sleep is the right time for a full audit of everything you got wrong today. But it isn't. Late night is not the time for honest assessment. Late night is the time when everything feels bigger than it is, when small things cast long shadows, when the mind, stripped of its daytime distractions, turns on itself, because turning on itself is the only thing left to do. You've probably noticed this. The way a worry at midnight feels catastrophic, and the same worry at 10 in the morning feels manageable. The worry didn't change. You didn't change. The light changed. The context changed. The capacity to hold it without it overwhelming everything changed. And that's what midnight does. It removes that capacity temporarily, not permanently, not truthfully, just temporarily. And knowing that changes something. Because if the voice is loudest when you're most depleted, then its volume is not a measure of its accuracy. It's a measure of your tiredness. Nothing more. And you are tired tonight. Genuinely tired. The kind of tired that deserves rest. Not a review. not an audit, not a list, just rest. So let the voice say what it needs to say. Somewhere in the background, you don't need to engage. You don't need to respond. You don't need to defend yourself against something that is only loud because you're exhausted and mistakes exhaustion for truth. Just let it talk to an empty room while you are somewhere else, somewhere quieter, somewhere the voice doesn't quite reach. And as you rest here, bring your attention gently to the breath, not to control it, not to deepen it, just to use it as an anchor, as a place to return to every time the voice tries to pull you back to the surface. Your breath is always here. It doesn't judge. It doesn't keep score. It doesn't have an opinion about how today went. It just continues, steady, reliable, neutral, present. Feel it now. The air coming in, cool, easy, filling you gently and leaving warm, slow, carrying nothing with it except what naturally releases when you stop holding on. And again, in, cool, quiet, and out, warm, slow, releasing. You don't need to count. You don't need to track. Just feel it. Just rest in it. Just allow it to be. The only thing that needs your attention right now. And as you stay with it, the voice grows quieter still, not silenced, just less relevant, less urgent, less certain than it was. Its words losing their sharpness, its list losing its weight, its certainty softening into something less convincing, less real, less able to make a claim on who you are, or what today meant, or whether you are enough. Because here, in this place, those questions don't exist. Here there is no enough, or not enough, no success or failure, no list, no score, no audit, just a body breathing in the dark, just a mind beginning to loosen its grip on the day, just a person who worked hard and is now finally resting completely, without condition, without the voice having any say in any of it. and your body completely still now, heavy, supported, your face relaxed, your jaw loose, your shoulders dropped, your hands open, your breath slow, quiet, continuing on its own, and the thoughts, whatever remains of them, beginning to lose their structure, beginning to drift away from the specific, away from the personal, away from the voice and its list, into something more abstract, more scattered, less coherent, less meaningful, less able to keep you at the surface. Just fragments now, impressions, shapes without names that drift through and dissolve before they can become anything, before they can ask anything, before the voice can attach itself to them and turn them into something you need to worry about. They dissolve before any of that and leave behind them only quiet, only space, only the deepening stillness of a mind that is finally moving away from the critic and toward the rest it has needed all along. Just here now, just breathing, just drifting, just allowing everything to continue softening without the voice, without the list, without any of it. Just the quiet, just the dark, just the deep, restful, still silence of a night that has no opinion about how today went and asks nothing of tomorrow. Just rest, just this, just now. See where you've arrived now. Not in a physical sense, but in the way everything feels. The atmosphere of your mind, the tone of your body, the distance between you, and everything that felt close before. It's not the same place you started. There's less pressure here, less movement, less urgency. The things that felt loud earlier don't land in the same way now. They don't reach as far. They don't carry the same authority. They're still there, perhaps, but they feel thinner, less convincing, less able to take hold. And that matters, because earlier it didn't feel optional. It felt like something you had to engage with, something you had to respond to, something that required your attention. But look at what changed. You didn't solve anything. You didn't answer anything. You didn't figure anything out. You simply stopped stepping into it. You stopped treating each thought as something that needed your involvement, And without that involvement, it changed. It lost its weight. It lost its sharpness. It lost its ability to feel like the center of everything. That's not because it disappeared. It's because it was never as solid as it felt. It only felt solid because it was being held in place by your attention. And anything held that closely begins to feel permanent, begins to feel real, begins to feel important. But when that holding loosens, even slightly, something else becomes clear. It begins to shift, to move, to lose its shape. And you can see that now. The way thoughts come, but don't stay. The way they form, but don't complete. The way they pass through without pulling you with them. And that shift doesn't require effort. It doesn't require control. It only requires that you don't step back into it, that you don't pick it up again. And you're already doing that, not by trying, but by staying here, by remaining with something simpler, something quieter, something that doesn't ask anything from you. And in doing that, you've changed the entire environment. The voice that felt so certain earlier no longer feels the same. It doesn't have the same reach. It doesn't have the same authority. It's still there, but it's no longer central. No longer something you're inside of, just something happening somewhere else. And that distance creates space. And inside that space, there's something else. Not new, just easier to notice now. The quiet that sits underneath everything, that was always there, even when the thinking felt constant, even when everything felt full. There were always moments, brief, almost invisible, where nothing was happening, where nothing was required. They were just harder to feel because everything else was louder. But now, that quiet is easier to find, easier to rest in. And you don't need to hold it. You don't need to protect it. You don't need to make it last. It's not something you create. It's something you allow. And as you allow it, your body continues to follow, settling further without effort, without instruction. Your shoulders, already softened, release just a little more. Not because you're forcing them, but because there's nothing left to hold there. Your arms rest heavier, sinking slightly deeper. Your hands loose, still, nothing being held, nothing needing to be done. Your jaw unclenched, your face neutral, at ease. There is no expression to maintain, no readiness required. Your chest rising and falling gently without your awareness needing to follow it. You're breathing, quiet, steady, continuing on its own. And with each breath out, there's a small release, subtle but present. You're back, fully supported, no longer holding anything in place. Your stomach, soft, unheld, nothing being tightened, nothing being protected. Your hips, heavy, settling into the surface beneath you. Your legs, loose, still, supported completely. Your whole body now, resting in a way that requires nothing from you. No effort, no control, no adjustment. And as your body settles further, your mind follows. Not because you're trying, but because there is less tension, less holding, less to stay connected to, and your thoughts begin to lose their structure even more. They don't connect clearly. They don't build. They don't lead anywhere. They appear and then drift, without direction, without purpose, and that drifting feels different. It doesn't require anything from you. It doesn't need to be completed. It doesn't need to be understood. It simply happens on its own. And as it continues, your awareness begins to soften further, becoming less focused, less connected, less fixed on anything in particular. You're no longer following thoughts clearly, no longer holding on to anything fully, just noticing in a quieter, more distant way. And even that noticing begins to soften, becoming less sharp, less active, more relaxed. And your thoughts, if they appear, are lighter now, less defined. They don't carry the same weight. They don't ask the same questions. They don't need the same answers. They come and they go without pulling you with them. And the space between them continues to widen, quietly, naturally, without effort. And that space begins to feel more familiar, more comfortable, easier to remain within. You don't need to hold on to it. You don't need to stay aware of it. It continues on its own. And within that space, everything feels further away, less immediate, less important. Things from earlier feel distant now, less connected, less present. They can remain there without needing your attention. And as you stay here, your awareness continues to soften, becoming lighter, less defined, less present. You're no longer trying to stay aware, no longer trying to notice anything, just allowing everything to continue on its own. And your body remains exactly as it is, still, heavy, supported, at rest. There is nothing left to hold, nothing left to manage. Everything has already been set down, and your breathing continues quietly, slow, steady, unchanged. You don't need to follow it. You don't need to guide it. It continues on its own, just like everything else. And your mind, now moving in a different way, not thinking, not solving, just drifting, without structure, without direction. And that drifting continues to soften, becoming less noticeable, less defined, and you can remain here without doing anything, just resting, just drifting, just allowing everything to continue on its own, moving gently towards rest. There comes a point where thinking doesn't quite behave the way it did before, where thoughts no longer arrive in full sentences, no longer carry a clear direction, no longer hold together long enough to become something you can follow. They still appear, but they feel different now, less complete, less defined, almost like fragments that don't quite connect. And because they don't connect, they don't build. They don't lead anywhere. They don't ask anything from you. They begin and then fade before they can form into something solid. And you might notice how difficult it is now to stay with a single thought from beginning to end, because it doesn't remain long enough. It starts and then dissolves before it becomes anything clear. And that's not something to fix. That's something to allow. Because this is what happens when the mind begins to move away from structured thinking. It stops organizing, stops sequencing, stops trying to make sense, and instead, it becomes loose, open, unfixed. Thoughts don't follow each other anymore. They don't build on each other. They don't form a path. They drift without direction, without purpose. And that drifting feels unfamiliar at first because it doesn't lead anywhere. It doesn't resolve anything. It doesn't complete anything. It simply happens on its own. And as it continues, your awareness begins to change with it, becoming softer, less focused, less connected to anything in particular. You're no longer tracking thoughts, no longer holding on to them, just aware in a quieter, more distant way. And even that awareness begins to loosen slightly, becoming less sharp, less active, more relaxed, and your body still completely supported, still at rest, continues to settle further without effort. Your shoulders fully released now, no longer holding anything. Your arms heavy, resting deeper. Your hands loose, still, nothing being held. Your jaw unclenched. Your face at ease. There is no expression to maintain, no readiness required. Your chest rising gently, falling slowly, without your awareness needing to follow it. Your breathing, quiet, steady, continuing on its own. And with each breath out, there's a subtle release, small but present. Your back, fully supported, no longer holding anything in place. Your stomach, soft, unheld, nothing being tightened, nothing being protected. Your hips, heavy, settling into the surface beneath you. Your legs, loose, still, supported completely. Your whole body now resting in a way that requires nothing from you. No effort, no control, no adjustment. And as your body continues to rest like this, your mind follows even further, not because you're trying, but because there is less to hold on to, less tension, less connection, and your thoughts become even more fragmented, even less defined. They don't form properly. They don't stay long enough. They don't become anything complete. They appear and then fade before they take shape. And you may notice now how little there is to follow, how little there is to hold on to, because nothing stays long enough to become something you need to engage with. And that's what allows the mind to begin moving differently, not thinking, not solving, not organizing, just wandering loosely, softly, without direction. And that wandering is something your mind already knows how to do. It's not something new. It's something that happens every night just before sleep, when the mind is no longer being directed, when nothing is being asked of it, when it's allowed, just for a moment, to move freely, without purpose, without destination, without needing to arrive anywhere. And you don't need to follow that wandering. You don't need to stay with it. You don't need to understand it. It continues on its own. And as it continues, your awareness begins to loosen even further, becoming lighter, less connected, less defined. You're no longer fully aware of your body, no longer fully aware of your surroundings. Just a faint sense of being here without needing to understand it. And even that sense begins to soften, becoming less noticeable, less important. And your thoughts, if they appear at all, are now faint, barely forming, barely noticeable. They don't arrive fully. They don't stay. They don't become anything you need to follow. They appear and disappear before they take shape. And in their place, there is more quiet, more space, more stillness. That space feels steady now, almost continuous. Not something that comes and goes, but something that remains without effort, without needing to be held. And within that space, everything feels distant, far away, without urgency, without meaning. Things from earlier no longer feel close, no longer feel connected. They remain where they are without needing your attention. And as you remain here, your awareness continues to fade, becoming softer, quieter, less present. You're no longer trying to notice anything, no longer trying to stay aware, just allowing everything to continue on its own. And your body remains exactly as it is, completely still, heavy, supported, at rest. There is nothing left to hold, nothing left to manage. Everything has already been set down, and your breathing continues quietly, slow, steady, unchanged. You don't need to follow it. You don't need to guide it. It continues on its own, just like everything else. And your mind, now moving in a different way, not thinking, not solving, just drifting, without structure, without direction. And that drifting continues to soften, becoming less noticeable, less defined. And you can remain here without doing anything, just resting, just drifting, just allowing everything to continue on its own, moving gently towards sleep. At this stage, there's very little left to follow, very little that forms clearly enough to become something you need to stay with. Thoughts may still appear, but they don't arrive in full. They don't hold together. they don't remain long enough to become anything you can engage with. They begin and then soften before they take shape, before they become anything complete. And because of that, they don't carry the same pull. They don't draw your attention. They don't take you anywhere. They pass quietly, lightly, without asking anything from you. And the space between them is no longer something brief, something occasional. It's becoming continuous now, wide, open, steady, not interrupted in the same way. That quiet is no longer something you notice and then lose. It's something that remains without effort, without needing to be held. It continues on its own. And as it continues, your awareness softens even further, becoming lighter, less connected, less defined. You're no longer fully aware of your body, no longer fully aware of your surroundings, just a faint sense of being here without needing to understand it. And even that sense begins to soften, becoming less noticeable, less important, and your body remains completely still, heavy, supported, at rest. There is no movement, no tension, no resistance. Everything has already settled. Your shoulders, soft, released. Your arms, heavy, resting. Your hands, still. Nothing held. Your jaw, loose, unclenched. Your face, calm, without effort. Your chest, moving slowly with each breath, without control. Your stomach, soft, unheld. Your legs, heavy, still, supported. Your whole body, resting deeply now, without effort, without resistance. And your breathing continues quietly, slow, steady, unchanged. You don't need to follow it. You don't need to guide it. It continues without you, just like everything else. And as everything continues, your mind shifts even further, not thinking in the way it was before, not forming ideas, not holding structure, just drifting without direction, without purpose. And that drifting becomes softer, less noticeable, less defined, until even that begins to fade. And the thoughts, if they appear at all, are now faint, barely forming, barely noticeable. They don't arrive fully. They don't stay. They don't become anything you need to follow. They appear and disappear before they take shape. And in their place, there is more quiet, more space, more stillness. That space feels steady now, almost continuous, not something that comes and goes, but something that remains without effort, without needing to be held. And within that space, everything feels distant, far away, without urgency, without meaning. Things from earlier no longer feel close, no longer feel connected. They remain where they are, without needing your attention. And as you remain here, your awareness continues to fade, becoming softer, quieter, less present. You're no longer trying to notice anything, no longer trying to stay aware, just allowing everything to continue on its own. And even the sense of being here begins to dissolve slightly, becoming less clear, less defined, less important. You are not fully aware, not fully asleep, just somewhere in between, where everything continues without effort, without direction. And as that continues, your thoughts become even quieter, barely forming, barely noticeable. They don't stay long enough to become anything clear. They begin and fade before they take shape. And in their place, there is more quiet, more stillness, more calm. You can remain within that calm without doing anything, without holding on to it, just resting, just drifting, just allowing everything to continue slowing. And as you stay here, your awareness softens even further, becoming quieter, more distant, less connected. You are no longer trying to stay aware, no longer trying to notice anything, just allowing everything to continue fading, softening on its own. And your body remains exactly as it is, completely still, heavy, supported, at rest. There is nothing left to hold, nothing left to manage. Everything has already been set down, and your breathing continues quietly, slow, steady, unchanged. There is nothing left to control, nothing left to organize, nothing left to think about. Everything can remain exactly as it is while you rest. And as you remain here, you may drift further without noticing when it happens, without needing to follow it, just allowing everything to continue on its own. And if at any point something shifts slightly, a thought appears, a moment of awareness returns, that's okay. Nothing has changed. You can remain here, just as you are, without needing to begin again, without needing to adjust anything. Everything continues on its own, and you can stay here for as long as you need, just resting, just drifting, just allowing everything to continue on its own, moving gently towards sleep. And if this continues, it can continue quietly, without change, without effort. The same stillness, the same soft drifting, repeating gently as long as it needs to, while you rest, while you sleep, while everything continues on its own.